Since I managed to forget the last update, or at least it was not around when the last update dropped, and they decided to drop an version A of the recent update, I guess we should go over a couple of little things here. Hello, everybody. This is Frogman, and welcome back to Captain of Industry. Yes, I do believe 7.078 dropped last week or sometime earlier this week, and I was not here, not available to be able to go over it. And there are a couple of things in here that are definitely something that you probably should know. Mainly, it is now possible to place a new Unity entity, over an existing one in order to upgrade or downgrade it. That is something that is fantastic. Something else that has gone wrong with this, and I think it's around with this, placing a storage over an existing one can replace its type, loose or liquid, tier orientation, rotate, rotate or flip. This is an interesting thing. This is going to allow you to be able to fix those storages that you place down incorrectly by just picking the thing up and rotating it the direction you want it to go, and then putting it right back down over the top of it. So that is something that's fantastic and something that I wanted to say. A small storage can now be replaced with a large one. That's an interesting thing that you would then have to start planning for large storage space for the small storages, but I guess that can help for some people. And simplified reproducts refund system. Old products that are not used in the new tier are simply returned without any conversion, which is a good thing. Upgrade tool now supports an option for downgrade for quick replace using Unity. This has been fantastic, especially when you accidentally click the upgrade button a couple of times. Plus, when you place something down that is a specific particular type of thing, as a blueprint or a ghost, and you want to upgrade things, you can upgrade them before they build them, which was not something that was possible beforehand. And then a bunch of other little things. I believe they're just going to be able to tell you things that you can do with blueprints. It's very handy. This is just stuff that kind of goes along with the upgrade tool being able to do certain things. And let's see, they added a new play. Some of this stuff we're not really too terribly worried about as far as pretty things, features, and improvements, and those kinds of things. Now here, logistics zones. There's just a bunch of fixes, bunch of nice stuff that happen along with a few things in here. And then we get up into the version that came out today. Those are just a couple of things I want to touch on those. Trucks now prefer ore sorters with product assigned matching to the cargo over auto-assigning new products to existing storages or whatever. That's going to mean that you're going to want to be using your logistical areas so that you don't have a truck driving from one end to the other of your island, for that matter. If you, say, have sand or something locked into one specific ore sorter on one side of the world, and you happen to end up mining something on the other side of the world that has that in it, that means that truck will then want to drive from one side of the world to the other if that isn't assigned to the ore sorter that is currently being there, which is something that we've seen, or at least looked at a couple of things that we've been playing with. So the other thing is they increased ore sorter productions from 8 to 16. That's pretty cool. That means you can have a single ore sorter in one area and do a whole lot of work with it, because there are, a lot of different things that you can play with. But I think there's still only 8 or 9 outputs on an ore sorter, so I wonder if they added 16 outputs to the big one. I don't know. It's going to be one of those things we're going to find and see how that goes. Added more information. This is a big one. We're not currently using the stacker, and stacker may eventually come into play once we start doing a few things, and it's just kind of one of those, I'm not messing with it right now because I don't need it. That's just fine. We'll play with it one of these days, possibly. The added more information to quick deliver, remove button floaters to explain why the buttons are disabled, i.e. using or lacking Unity or products. There's been multiple times when I've been trying to place down ore sorters where it's not letting me do it, or there's been multiple times where we've been building things where it doesn't let you do it and it doesn't tell you why. So that's going to be nice. At least we'll be able to see that. I know there are various buildings that we cannot place because of the fact that they have to be placed and allowed to go. So like pump jacks and certain things. Didn't really notice that the data center was not working correctly. Reduced consumption of consumer electronics, which was incorrectly increased in update 3. We're not doing those currently, so that doesn't affect us. And I think that's pretty much everything that we had to care about, except for maybe some of the loose textures, which I didn't really notice as far as all that goes. Now, I don't think there was a whole lot of anything in the rest of this as this goes, but it is kind of nice to know that this is stuff that we've been playing around with. They're working on trying to make the game more user-friendly, which I am enjoying considerably. I get to watch it kind of progress since, I've been playing this personally since I think it was version 1.5 or whatever it was. Doesn't really matter. So, anyhow, let's kick back into the game, and we will get started playing. So, I will see you guys in just a second. Alrighty, so at the end of last episode, we were working on making some more food for our residents, our people, just the mess and the way that things go, so that we can try to start turning on a couple of really cool things. So, again, I do think the plan overall is going to be that we're going to use this area eventually totally completely for farming. And we're going to, I'm going to probably start working on trying to move the tree farm out of here, as I've stated a couple of times, to this nice big flat open area for the time being. I have been working on trying to figure out, and this has just been a kind of a thing going on, where we're going to run our train lines through here. And I think, given some of the things that I have been experimenting with off camera and actually watching a couple other people kind of experiment with things, once we get a little bit more of this mountain moved out of the way, I think we're probably going to either turn and come this way, or we're going to drag it on straight through here. So I have been working in between episodes to try to clean up this moonscape back here. It's an annoying mess that you can't navigate because of all these silly little boulders. And all of these silly little boulders are pretty much right here on top of the ground, and that's all the only reason why we're doing anything. So I did manage to level a decent amount of the area out, and we're currently working around this iron patch so that we can kind of do what we need to do with it later on. But I am working towards trying to build a line from here to there so that we can start building a line from here to this island mountain thing so that we can start mining it. This is going to be our savior eventually. We are slowly but surely running out of the sand that is over here. We've managed to mine quite a bit of it, and unfortunately there's going to be a point in time where we're going to have to start caring about the sand and the coal that is in this hill. Now, I am going to attempt to mine every single one of the ore patches on the main island before we start being totally concerned about asteroids. That may include, and to be fair, some of these sand patches and whatnot, as well as all of the other little things, because I think eventually we're going to be all the way down here looking at that mountain, which I think is gold, right? Or is it nothing? Oh yeah, that's nothing. Okay, cool. Well, we may get over here and just level that sucker then. But we are going to eventually work at getting towards asteroids. I actually do believe that maybe that iron patch right there was an asteroid or whatever it is. Doesn't really matter. We're going to get to that point eventually, but for now I want to just have as much fun as we possibly can, limiting our throughput with trains so that we can know exactly how good or bad they are. So once we get a little bit more work done right here, I'm just going to kind of fill in a little bit more of this area so that we have room for infrastructure right here. We're going to probably start mining out what's on this island and burying the edges of it so that we can get to all the little parts, because that's going to be our first bit of, first or second bit of titanium ore, which we're going to need eventually. Plus, there is some oil, and there is, I guess, a buildable surface over here once we clean it up. Anyhow, that's been going on. We've got that sorted. I've started to dig down into this copper system mess over here because we got pretty close to the edge of this wall to where it's mostly now stone falling in, so they're working a little bit harder than I'd like. This seems to be fairly deep, which is going to be very nice. Actually, I'm going to have to probably move them back or move things around, but we'll have a good time with that. The coal has been moved over slightly, and again, I think we're getting to the point we're going to have to start caring about maybe moving coal. There's still a bunch back here, but we've gotten to the edge over here, and I suppose I need to give them a little bit more room, but we'll work on that as we need to go. But yes, we're slowly starting to fill that hole in, and once we get some more of this stuff done, I may start actually trying to build a nice big flat platform up here, or we may send our a cleanup team, the guys that are doing the filling of the hole right here, we may have them carve this backwards a little bit so that we can kind of make this mountain go away. I got to do some measurements just to see how far wide this is going to be, but I guess for now we'll care about that when the time comes. For now, we need to continue to work on food production as well as food design and some of the other little things that we need to be working on. So in between episodes, I just went ahead and did it. I moved the ethanol production out of the way over here, cleaned up some of the pipes that we had running down this direction, and I have since built four chicken farms. I don't know what I'm saying today. 4 chicken farms that are currently just making us eggs. I'm going to leave them that way because we're going to need to start working on the next layer of food that comes out of these chickens if we're going to raise them. So we are actually running a fair surplus of corn right now, which is good. We're actually running quite a bit of surplus of the vegetables, which is even better, which means theoretically I can kind of shut some of the vegetables off in here, which I've done in these two. And I need to actually do that here. And he wants to run green manures so that we can kind of come back to, so we can be making as much corn as possible, because the corn fairly soon is going to be the thing that is going to keep our chickens alive. It's going to be the thing that's going to keep our ethanol running, and it's going to maybe get made into snacks probably fairly soon. Now, I think we're going to need to do a little bit more work on production of petroleum products, petroleum and petroleum-related industries, which is why I'm kind of starting to do a little bit of planning here. I think we're going to move this dock over here, and we're going to utilize this entire area to build as much of this as we possibly can. That is going to include possibly bringing in a new contract, which is going to be, where is this one? I think I want to do either the slag to import sour water, or we're going to do slag into the sludge, and we may move that stuff back over here, so that we may do the slag into sludge over here, and then start seriously producing the fuel gas that we're capable of making here, and then starting to crack that back into other petroleum related things, because we are kind of just barely, and I mean just barely, keeping this diesel tank full. I don't plan on going to hydrogen anytime soon, but I think it is going to be something we're going to have to look at. But for now, we'll worry about that in a future episode. Today, what I wanted to do, I guess, was explain this. If this is going to be another one of those ratios where you're going to look at it and go, this kind of sucks. Ethanol is kind of an odd one in the fact that it's 12 here, but you can only make 9 here, so it's 4 into 3 kind of a deal. That's fine. If we want to make more than this, we then have to put 4 more of these down in order to make things fairly even. So we have 4 mills crushing up corn, making the corn mash that is getting turned into ethanol and a little bit of CO2 and stored in a tank over here. Again, cleaned out the road over here so that most of this is nice and, at least drivable. The next step I think that I want to work on today, and I've already kind of done it, is I've moved the last 2 farms, or the output of the last 2 farms here, from their 2 farm locations into a mixed belt, or it's going to be a mixed belt once it decides to run a little bit. And I brought them all the way down here to a couple, 3 currently, 3 of the loose storage number 2s, just because I needed that to run a little bit so we could maybe possibly get a little bit of the canola going. This is probably going to be a problem because of the amount of sugarcane we can store. So I have turned the fertility down on this one until it needs it, and I've kind of done the same thing with everything. I've turned the fertilizer down because our people are not crunching through the food that I think they need to crunch through, and I'm going to probably have them kind of get rid of this. I've already downsized the corn container over here because we don't need that much in storage, and how it all goes. So the next step that I think I want to do is I want to process as much of this sugar cane into sugar as we possibly can. And then we may, once this starts getting processing and stored, I would like to then get the canola going so that we can make the canola oil, because canola oil can be mixed with ethanol to make diesel fuel. And if we decide we want to do something so silly as to take a bunch of that leftover sugar cane, I don't want that button, I want this button. If we take this leftover sugar, we can mix it with a little bit of oxygen and make it straight into ethanol, which is something that we can do pretty quickly. That will also that'll give us a lot of ethanol, and we can then take the ethanol that we make from here, mix it with a little bit of cooking oil to get some extra diesel fuel, should we want to. That's a pretty neat way of doing that if we think so. So I think what we're going to do is I need to start working on the backlog of what the sugarcane is going to be like in here. So it's going to be about 45 per minute divided by 45 per minute. Divided by 2. We'll just go by that number. So we're going to say we're going to try to process around, we'll just say it. We'll try to process around 50 of that per minute, given how things are going, using a food processor, which is going to be our first introduction to this thing, because these are going to be our friends that are going to go right here eventually. But a food processor, I think, I didn't really want those storages that close, but I kind of had to put them in here. So we'll start here, and I think I got to rotate that. Yeah. You are going to take sugarcane and a little bit of water and turn it into 12. So if we're going to do 50, the number is 15. So we'll just say 3 or 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. Very cool. We'll get some water into them. And then the sugar cane, what I'm going to do is just probably feed this back into that. I don't know why I thought this was a good idea. How about we move that forward? Just do a little quick bit of designing here. We'll move that forward so that that will line up nicely. I don't mind having all this room. I think it's going to be fantastic to have this much room. But that's going to be a problem for the canola, but that's not a big deal. How is that? Give me a transport belt, please. Flat, U-shaped lift. So that'll be 2. Perfect. That means I'm just going to grab you, drag you forward, and we'll do this, and this, and this, and this. Now that's going to give us a byproduct of a bunch of biomass for which we can then do a few things. I'd love to be able to convert that into fuel gas, but we can't. All we can do is either, well, burn it in a boiler, or we can convert it into compost, which is likely what we'll probably end up doing is this one. Or we may make steam and extra power with it. Who knows? That's something to play with later on in game. Can we get some water over here that's going to be a problem? Probably. I want to kind of go about right there. Can you guys get over there? No. Okay, so that means we'll grab it from, I suppose I can grab it from right here in front of that particular storage. Perfect. And I will drop it, same as always, like that for now. Okay, and then I think the storage line again, I think we're going to kind of keep storages going over here. Let's grab just a unit storage, regular use unit storage number 2. We'll place it down about right there, and then I will grab, how much is this going to make per minute? So yeah, we can do a normal, I think that's going to be, is this a flat conveyor? Sugar, 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 sugar. Is that a flat conveyor? No. Okay, well that's cool. U-shaped conveyor then, which means we don't store it in this. I wonder why they show it as a bag. Huh, okay. Never mind. I am probably, I think we can make that work. We'll do that. And there. And then we'll need to make a container for the biomass. Or what we might do is just run the biomass down here and have it dumped into a mixer. How much biomass is that going to make per minute? 6 times 4. And the mixer needs, what does the mixer need? You have them over here. Oh, we'll be fine. Just grab one of those. And for now, we'll just put you down here on the end. Think about like so. Sure, we'll put it like right there on that line. That looks pretty good. And then we'll just go ahead and drop a lift into this. Okay, so then we'll leave all that alone. I know that's probably going to get kind of ugly and a pain in the butt here fairly soon, and we may start building extra stuff onto this bus line. I know there's a line that can happen right here. There's still a slot underneath there, but I think we're probably going to be making cakes probably right here. I know the eggs are up here, but it's not like I can't run them backwards. I think we might be making cakes somewhere right around in here fairly soon, and I do think that either the cakes are going to happen right here, and then possibly snacks, or snacks and then possibly cakes. But we're going to have to, again, work on making a little bit more plastic. But I did want to get the sugar going because we can use sugar for a lot of things. So let's go ahead and build that. And unpause. Okay, now what I do need to do for certain is I want to pause. I think we paused both of these. No. Why are we not draining? Oh, we should be draining a bunch of sugar at this point. And yeah, I may have to do some sorting right at the facility. We shall see. I do want to pause that belt for right now. And I want to we'll pause that one, turn it around. And then the trick supposedly is if we grab this and rotate it, I can put it back down and it'll face the right direction, keeping its inventory. That is so stinking cool. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. We'll be using that quite a bit. That's amazing. And we managed to upgrade that. I didn't want to upgrade it, so downgrade it. Thank you. So we'll let them work those two down until this one is mostly empty. I think I can probably pause you instead of the belt, so we'll just do this instead. And then we'll work through the backlog of that sugar. This stuff, I think probably what we may end up doing with it, again, is making a bunch of excess stuff out of it, because we may end up making the majority of the corn that we're making into food for both the chickens and for our people. What do we got going on over here? Why are you guys mad? Did you guys get through that? Okay, I need you to... What do you got encased so far? All right, we need to make... They bury that whole wall yet? No, they haven't gotten there quite yet. I need to actually fix this mess. One of the things you got to be careful about when you're doing various things like this is that you do... Okay, we have plenty of stuff up here. Do need to make sure they have ramps so they can get up and on of things, because trucks are kind of stupid, and I guess it's just kind of a known thing. So anyhow, you guys do me a little bit more favor. I need you to continue to dig through that mountain until we get to the edge of our area. If you can, please. And I'm not worried about the mining designation thingies. We're just going to keep doing this. I need to get a pathway into this area so that we can start, like I said, making some type of a landform between here and there. And that's going to require us to dig a couple of things up in order to make some stuff happen. So I think we'll let them run for a little bit and then start working on the next thing, which is going to be making canola oil. And I think we can make canola oil possibly... Well, I think... Do we have enough stuff we can make cakes now just for the giggles of it? No, we need the canola oil. So yeah, we should be making the canola oil next. How much canola are we going to be possibly making at this point? We should be, if it's working correctly... Average production per minute is 3. Really? 73 over the period of 3 months. What processes canola? Canola is processed in a mill. All right, let's grab a mill. Ooh, we might just run that down. Let me look at a few things here. We might you know what I probably should have done is I probably should have made that right here and then brought it, whatever, it's fine. I need to get rid of this tub anyway, so we may end up just going ahead and doing that right here. Let's gather, I say we'll do 4 of them for now. Let's see what a mill can do. Give us a little bit of space once again. You can do 16. I think we'll probably start with, again, 4 of these for now. Just going to use 4 because it's an easy even number to work with, and we'll plumb that stuff in somehow. May end up moving that container down, but I guess it's not a big deal right now. Let me get this plumbed in. They don't need to watch over this every single time. All right, now we've got a little bit of canola oil. That will allow us to build some fun stuff, hopefully in the front section up here. What we are going to do right here is we're going to start preparing. What time have we got here? I think we're going to let this all run for a minute. I was going to say, I'm going to start maybe building a few things. I'm going to let this run for a little bit, get some of that backlog out. I may actually stop raising sugarcane for a little bit and do some green manure in 2 locations here because we have way too much sugarcane, and I'd really like to get some of the canola out. And this is going to be a problem running a sushi belt because I probably should have picked something that would have been on the regular belts, but we may have to do I don't know. We're going to probably end up grinding a lot of the sugarcane up, or we need to, like I said, turn it into ethanol we can then burn. And that might be the actual thing to do, is take the ethanol that we can get off of the sugar from the sugarcane and do 2 separate ethanol systems up here and burn one of them. And the reason why we can burn one of them is I believe ethanol is actually pretty good for things. Maybe? I don't remember. So if we burn it in a thing here, no, we get CO2. But it's not a whole lot, which is kind of interesting. But, yeah, that's not a lot compared to what some of the other things go as far as making a little bit of power. So that might be some of the things that we'll start thinking about doing, is excess fuel-related things, especially the stuff that's going to be coming off of this. As we do this work, there will be other things that we're going to be processing that will make us a whole bunch of biomass, and we're going to have to kind of play with that as we go. Output is full. Yes, of course it's full. That'll be something we'll mess with next time. I think we'll probably do a little bit of excess, getting rid of some stuff. Like I said, turn on some power, possibly build another power plant just to kind of get rid of some excess things over here, but that's going to be later. Anyhow, what is this? Why are you mad at me? I thought I cleaned this up. Go away. All right, so the final thing that I want to do today, before we get too much deeper into the rest of the food issue, is I want to start thinking about how we're going to feed these guys some more protein. So what we can do, now that we have 4 chicken farms going, is that these are going to produce 20 chickens per minute, regardless of whether we have eggs in them or not. So we're going to be able to get the eggs coming out of them, and we will be able to harvest 20 chickens. So that's going to be 80 chickens per minute that we can put into one of these food processors. So let's grab a food processor. Well, 80 chicken meat for whatever that goes. So we'll drop this down and we'll do a little bit of looking at some math as far as this goes. So if we're looking at this number here, it should be chicken carcasses with a little bit of water, a little bit of salt will make us 15 meat and a few meat trimmings. Now, that's going to be our issue as far as the meat trimmings are concerned. We can either take our excess, and I mean excess at this point in time, flour, which is sitting right here. I did go ahead and put a box in so that this can work, because we should be backed up almost on wheat at this point. I don't know how much I want to do with this right now. I kind of want to make sausage, but again, I kind of don't, because I'd almost rather just feed them some excess stuff. But I think what we should do, since we are going to need the meat, because we're going to need to make food packs, this might be a thing here. Why don't we worry about the meat trimmings? Can I just burn or compost them? I don't know. This might be something to just get after us as far as we do things. This might be something that we can do. So if we look at this, this is going to be 80 chickens, roughly 80 chickens per minute. This is going to be able to sort through 30 of them, which means we're going to need at least 2 for now until we, well, I mean, if I do 160, how many is that? Be 5, 6 of those things. Can we get 6 of those things in here? Yes, okay. I may move that over just slightly to kind of align it. And I want to move them away just enough so that we have plenty of room to move things in between. But if I do that, that's going to be salt in probably from over here. I say we start with 2 of these. Go ahead and get those built. And then what we can do is at least take the meat and feed it in, like, say, right there. I believe this one is available. So the eggs are going in right here. I might actually just have them dump it into that one. We could probably run a line to do that. But anyhow, I think we'll probably put it in right here. I don't want the eggs here. We'll do meat, and we'll go ahead and just have them deliver it via one of these for now. Again, just to see how much this is going to make. And I might mess with this a little bit off camera because this might take a little bit of fiddling that I don't feel like keeping you guys on board with. I mean, it's just kind of one of those deals. But anyhow, let's go ahead and get that built. And you're going to need salt, water, and a couple of other things. So let's grab us a loose storage right here and drop it down. I say probably right there. Or is that going to be annoying for the chickens? Yeah, we might need to... Ooh, I shouldn't have done that. Shoot. Can I copy and flip it so that the water's on the other side? Yes, I can. Beautiful. I love that so much. I'm so glad they did that. So we just flip. Flip. Oh, that is so nice. So now we have all the room in the world. So that means the salt can come in right here at the bottom and run along. Okay, cool. Let me belt this in. All right. I think with all that being done, we can do the thing, which is go ahead and belt that stuff in and that in, and the water, at least for now. I don't want to pause you. I want to unpause that, and I think there is a pause line there, and there, and there, and there. I don't want to build all of this just yet, but that way we've got enough to at least cover most of this once we get it turned on. So I think all we need to do now... Oh, yeah, and I guess we aren't done with all of this. Go ahead and unpause all of that so we can build it all, and that should also bring us all the way back here. I'm going to go ahead and belt in that flour, and we go ahead and let that roll for a little bit. Once we get some of this other stuff done, I may go ahead and turn these on, but we do need to see what is wrong with the vehicle that can no longer be fueled. Why? What is wrong? Are you stuck? No available designation. Okay, fine, but why are you not being fueled? Which one are you? This one? Can you not get... Oh, you can't, can you? I need to rebuild this. Give me a little bit while we wait on the rest of this stuff to get built. I forgot that I did not... I guess I can probably... No, I can't, can I? Because the fuel station's in the way. I need to put this over here like I have been doing. So let me do that real quick. I know, it's fine. It's fine. Everybody just calm down. Seriously. You guys are acting like the world is ending. There, that should make everybody happy. Now, we need a mining area so that you guys can kind of figure things out. I wanted to kind of keep this a little low, so let's see if we can go straight right there. Mining designation. I want to go level there a couple of bytes, and we'll see what we get. Can we do that? All right, cool. You guys have something to dig. Do we have our new processing facility built yet? Okay. What are you short now? You need us to start killing chickens, and we need to copy some salt settings from some place. Let's see. You to there. Over to there. And then that should get them to go fill that up. And we can start harvesting chickens. Oh, I need to belt that. Whoops, I forgot. I didn't get that belted. It's okay. We'll be fine. Give me 2 seconds. All right, there we go. So now we should have chicken carcasses coming into this particular system. Once they get 30 apiece, they will cut them up into, well, once we get a little bit of salt over here, they will cut them up into meat that we can then turn into stuff we can feed. 2 people over here, and we will be able to then make sausages. So I guess I can put another one over here, and we can do something kind of like the same thing. So all of this is just basically to try to get a grasp on how the new systems are working, because I usually do not do chickens, so I'm not really very interested in doing chickens, but we will see how this all goes. So you are going to be sausage, 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 and we will unpause both of those and unpause you as well. And then the trucks can do a little bit of hauling while they construct various things. So there we go. We should have some meat coming out of here now. Beautiful. You guys are allowed to access that and allowed to access this. And we'll see how this goes. So we're now removing the beautiful thing is here, if we feel like, and this is one of those kinds of deals. If you find that you're out of food or you're temporarily in trouble, you can grab a slaughter if above a certain number and drag it down, but that will reduce the amount of chicken that you make. So if I hit pause and I drag that number down, I believe you'll be able to see slaughter for above such and such and so and so. It will kill X amount to that point, but I believe the number it produces here will go down. So you kind of, I would assume you just want to leave that number alone. But I'm going to fix those and let them run. But that should mean we're now putting meat straight into the cooler, which is kind of gross, and putting it over here. Hopefully, yep, we have a little bit of meat going on in here, and we should be seeing a little bit of sausage production occasionally. I know it's not going to be a lot. It's just going to be try to get rid of whatever's coming in here. So we currently have 40 sausages that should be able to be delivered fairly soon, I think. Kind of gross. And again, if we really need to, we can take the excess chickens that we're getting out of here and turn them directly into the meat trimmings that can then be used to make a whole lot more, but we'll see where that goes. All right, cool. Well, we now have at least 2 types of protein, and as we continue to produce most of this stuff in here, these numbers will start to crawl up because they'll have, you know, ample opportunity to eat either one of the 2 things. So if we notice right now, we still have quite a fair amount of vegetables and quite a fair amount of fruit in here because we've got both of these nice and filled up. Same with this here, the corn and the bread are both nice and filled up. I suppose we could go back and make potatoes, but I'm not really concerned with that right now. I think our next major step, and we'll probably work on that next time, is get the snacks up and going, but I think we're going to need to work a little bit on the plastic production, although I don't know. We might have to not worry about that. How much is per snack? That's not a lot. And that's an awful lot of snacks. Yeah, we may look into doing that fairly soon, because I think I can actually possibly sneak in a little bit of snack making right here. Or, like, I think we do the more complex food production things down here. So we still have snacks, cake, plus the ethanol production from the sugarcane that we currently have being processed. And yeah, I'm going to have to work on something like that fairly soon. So we see how this all goes once we get there. But anyhow, I think that'll work for now. I'll probably go ahead and build the rest of these chicken farms off camera, get the rest of this kind of cranked up. But we now have meat and sausage and sugar and canola running. So that's cool for now. I will see you all later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.